Okay, so today we are joined by the fabulous Steve Scott from the Christian rock band Word66. So, how are you today?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic.
Okay, so I believe there are two other members in the band.
Correct.
Yep. Do you want to tell us a bit about those as well? Introduce them.
Okay, well, I'm the guitarist, and then Dave Murray is on drums, and Brian Torres is on bass and vocals.
Perfect. And I do have to ask, does the name of the band have any significance?
It does. You know, with the Word66, so basically there are 66 books in the Bible, and the Bible is the Word, so we chose the Word66.
Yeah, learn something new every day.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny. It's funny because on a lot of the social places where we couldn't get, like, you know, because we are the Word66, and we had to do the word 66 in some of the places, and T-word 66 because somebody had, you know, the word 66. So
It's annoying.
yeah.
Okay, and is this your first musical venture?
Absolutely not.
No? What did you do before this then?
I've been in quite a few bands, and some signed and some not. I've actually had the pleasure of working with some musicians. I probably shouldn't say who they are, but some musicians. We don't really talk very often anymore.
Name dropping.
Yeah. I mean, some of them went on to play with some of the biggest rock and jazz cats out there. So, so they've done pretty well. Yeah.
And is music your full-time career? Do you do this full-time?
Sort of, kind of. In real life, I'm actually a DJ.
It's not to do with music.
Yeah. So it's funny because at one point in time, I was thinking that if the places weren't going to play us anymore, then I might as well play them, you know. So wound up going into DJing. I did radio for several years, and I own my own company out here in Vegas as well.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
And then being a Christian rock band, I should ask, has religion always been a part of your life, or?
I didn't grow up with any religion. My parents were non-religious. It's something that I found later on in life. Things weren't going so great at one point in time, or two or three. I met this guy that was really into, you know, the church and stuff. And he was like, you know, it was a non-denominational church. So we go to the cool church is what I call it. He introduced me to the church, and something really big was that he introduced me to some Christian rock bands. And at that point in time, I had no idea. You know, I've always been a pretty hard rocker myself, and I never knew really much about Christian rock. And I definitely think there's a stigma around that. You know, if you tell people you're Christian rock, they probably go like, Christian rock, you know, it's probably, you know, organ music and, you know, just, you know, harps and all kinds of stuff. And it couldn't be further from the truth, you know, at least in our situation. He turned me on to some music, and I listened to it, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then I really got into it. And that also helped me get into the church more and being more religious, because music is powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I follow a couple of people on Twitter that, well, there's one that's a Christian hard rock band. Sound very heavy, like very, very heavy. And I listened to their song before I read up about them, and I was, well, pleasantly surprised. I was, wow, I didn't know this could come from the church, so to speak.
Yeah. There are some hard rocking Christian bands out there too. I like to kind of consider us to be like melodic hard rock, is what I call us. Because we're getting radio play on all kinds of radio stations. You know, we're getting played on your AOR stations. We're getting played on hairband stations. We're getting played on, of course, the Christian stations, and even some hardcore stations are playing our stuff as well. So, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do think that it does kind of span a range of ages as well, your kind of music. Because I like it, and then my dad would like it too. Do you know what I mean?
Depends how old your dad is. we call ourselves, we're veteran rockers, you know, so obviously we're not kids, you know. Yeah, I mean, there's a huge audience for it. And actually, we're going to be doing, there's another radio station that asked us to help them do a takeover with them. So, yeah, so I'm going to be the guest on there. It's coming up next month. And they were like, well, you know, whatever you want to do. And I was like, well, you know, if it's okay with you, I said, I'd like to introduce people to some of the really good Christian rock bands out there. Some of them people might already be fans of and not know that they're Christian bands. Yeah. And there's a lot of other stuff to turn people on to as well. So hopefully we can open their eyes up a little bit and get them into a whole new area of music as well.
And what radio station will that be on? Can you tell us yet?
Yeah, it's the show is called The Boneyard. And it is, it comes from, I believe from Scotland is where it's being broadcast from.
Oh, perfect. Be able to listen to it real time.
Yeah.
And I suppose, where have your influences come from for your music then? Were they before you got into the church, or have you picked up a lot since you've been in the church?
A little bit of both. It's funny because the main influences are not exactly Christian bands, you know. It's like, you know, like Black Sabbath was probably, you know, is a huge influence. And in some of our songs, you can hear a little bit of Black Sabbath influence in there. Big Priest fans and, you know, big Shanker fan, you know, Gary Moore. And as a guitarist, you know, I'm a huge fan of like Satriani and Vai and John Petrucci from Dream Theater, you know, people like that. And as I started getting a little bit into Christian stuff, then I got this turned on to bands like Disciple and Thousand Foot Crutch, you know, Skillet.
Yeah. See, I know who Skillet is.
Yeah, and a lot of people probably don't know that Skillet is a Christian band. Because they actually go on tour.
Last year, I didn't know.
Yeah, they actually go on tour with some pretty hardcore bands as well.
Yeah. Well, that's what surprised me, I think. And I think, weirdly, I think it was my dad that told me that they were a Christian band, and I didn't believe him, so I had to use Google.
Yeah, I think that's the case with a lot. And that's why I'm kind of really looking forward to doing that show as well, because I think, you know, we could turn some people on to some Christian music. And, you know, I always tell people that the only difference really between Christian hard rock and regular hard rock is basically just the lyrics, you know. And if you don't pay attention to the lyrics, I mean, you wouldn't know. And even if you pay attention to the lyrics, you know, a lot of times they're just kind of insinuations of things, you know.
Cool. I'll keep my eye out for that anyway.
Okay, cool.
So my other half told me that you are also a stand-up comic.
I used to be.
Used to be. So how did that come about?
I have been in many aspects of the entertainment industry throughout my life. I've done everything, really. I was also a major illusionist at one point in time as well, and the DJ and the comedian, and I've done. I guess you could say I'm a published music writer as well. I mean, I've written for a few different music magazines over the years as well. Just, I can't even think of all the stuff. I mean, it's like, you know, age is creeping in.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, we'll get off and I go, oh yeah, and then I did, you know, so, but yeah, and I wanted to get, everybody always told me I was a clown, you know, so I was kind of like, all right, so let me try some comedy, and I wrote some material and stuff like that, and I actually got to, I did it when I was living in California for a while, and I actually got to play some of the really cool stages, like, you know, the Comedy Store and the Laugh Factory and the Improv and all those kind of places. And it was fun. It was fun, but it was really hard. It was okay. You know, you had your good nights and bad nights, you know. When you do well, it's called killing. You know, you kill that day, you know. Yeah, so, you know, I've killed many a time, and then there's a lot of times where people just looked at you like you were from outer space, you know. You can hear a pin drop, you know. It's like, and it was funny because the night before you did the material and everybody was cracking up, and then you do it the next night and everybody's just sitting there going.
It's very reliant on the audience, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, when you kill, it's a lot of fun, but again, it's really hard. Not that the music industry isn't, but the old saying that everyone's a comedian, or at least everybody thinks they're a comedian. Yeah, and that's the problem, is that there's so many people out there that think they're funny, and they're inundating the whole comedy scene, and it's really hard for you to get a spot. You know, it takes a while for you to actually book something. So.
And did you find it harder performing on stage as a stand-up comic or as a musician?
Probably the comic, because, you know, it's kind of funny because you go out there and you have a guitar that you're holding. So that's kind of like your little blankie, you know. When you're a kid, you're holding that little whoopee blankie, and you feel good because you're holding it. So yeah, it's just you and the audience, and you get up there, and there were times where I was had to psych myself up because I was like, oh my God, I'm coming up next, you know, and you know.
Yeah, we used to live in Brighton, down the south of England, and it's really good for the comedy scene. So we've met a few, and I couldn't believe how many comedians were so shy, low self-esteem. It like completely different to what they are on stage. It's bizarre.
Sounds like me. No, I'm just I'm gonna go cry now. I'll be back in like a minute or two. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like you know, before I go on stage, I used to think of remember the old Nike commercials where they would say, "Just do it."
Yeah.
I mean, that was my inspiration, really. It's like I would be almost ready to get called up, and it was my time, and I would just say to myself, "Don't think about it. Don't even think about it. Just do it." And I clear my mind, and then they call me out, and you just go out and you do it.
I think that's the way you got to.
Yeah. With the music even.
You're in Las Vegas, aren't you?
Yes.
So how is it there for the music scene and comedy and stuff like that? It's pretty non-stop, isn't it? Well, apart from at the moment.
At the moment, yeah, it's stop. Yeah. There's of course nothing going on. And of course, like myself, also even just being the DJ, there's no work for me because I do a lot of special events and things like that, and corporate events and things. So there's nothing going on. So nothing's happening right now. As far as the music scene goes, you know, there used to be more places to play, but there really isn't as many anymore. And, you know, we, being in the Christian industry, we're hoping that, you know, when things straighten out a little bit, that, you know, we're playing more along the church lines.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So there are a bunch of churches out there, and, you know, so, you know, places to play, you know.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
They'll have you.
Yes.
So you briefly touched on then, but what kind of effect has the COVID had on you personally? Well, you as a band.
We really don't play that often at this time. We've been doing some online stuff, you know, kind of. I take the COVID pretty seriously myself. So, and I'd like to find out a little bit more about how it is for you guys out there. But you know, I do my thing. You know, it's like I always wear my mask, and I always, you know, wash my hands, and I carry a little bottle of sanitizer in my pocket, you know, so like if I touch anything, I've become like this major germaphobe now, you know, it's like you can't touch anything now without going, oh, okay. I just touched that pen, or I just touched that, I just sat in that seat. I think I touched the handles. You know?
Drive you mad though, can't it?
What's that?
It can drive you mad.
It can.
All the time.
Yeah, but you really got to be careful. I mean, you know, they're talking about that new strain and stuff now too. That's really starting to take over. And I mean, the hospitals are overrun. And, you know, thank God that myself and my band members and stuff, you know, we've been lucky. And hopefully, you know, eventually we'll be able to get the vaccine so we can get back to normal and play live shows again would be nice. But yeah, you know, we're at a point right now where, you know, the gatherings are like no more than I think 25 or something like that.
Ooh, lucky.
Somewhere around there. And yeah, I actually got a couple of events coming up here very shortly. So we'll see how those. I sometimes I'll double my mask, and, you know, and it's funny because the people that are there at these events, it's like nobody wears a mask. Like nobody.
Yeah.
So they probably make fun of me, and that's okay. I've been made fun of all my life. It's okay. It's a whole other story. But yeah, but you know, we can't wait, of course, like everybody else, for this thing to be semi-over. I know some people that have gotten their shots, and you know, so far, knock on wood, they really haven't had any kind of ill effects from it yet.
Yeah, both of my grandmas, they've both had theirs, and they're fine. They had theirs a month ago now, so.
Okay, that's great. How is it by you guys? Are there a lot of limitations still?
Yeah, we're still in full lockdown pretty much.
Wow.
So most non-essential shops, well, we're in Wales, which is slightly different to England because they've all decided to do different things, you see. But at the moment, all non-essential shops are closed, schools are closed. Even like in the supermarkets, you can't go down the non-essential aisles and stuff. You go in for your food and you get out, and that's it. Masks are mandatory in all indoor spaces. No gatherings of more than, well, no households mixing whatsoever, unless you're a single person and you can mix with one other household. Weddings are limited to 15. Funerals are limited to 30. And yeah, and it's been like that since what, the 5th of January, I believe. And It's going to be like that until, I think our next review is on the 29th of January. And they're probably going to make it another 3 weeks.
So crazy and so sad. I mean, it's just, you can't even imagine.
I don't mind as much, but I've got a little girl that she's only 5. So the school's closing. It's like, she doesn't know what to do with herself.
Well, she's climbing the walls, huh?
Yeah.
Climbing the walls, huh? Driving you crazy?
Only a little bit. Unfortunately, she's a lot like me.
Okay. Seems fine on my end, at least, yeah.
No, she's all right. She's doing well. She copes well. But the difference is I could play with her all day, but I'm not a 5-year-old kid. I can't think the same as she does. And I think that's what is getting to her there. But anyway.
Maybe a doggy. What about a dog?
We've got a dog as well.
Oh, you got a dog? Okay.
And a lizard.
And a lizard. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, she's well occupied. It's just it's the constant changing, I think. Not knowing where.
They probably don't really understand fully what's going on, you know.
No. Thank God.
Yeah. Sad. Crazy.
Anyway, so you've been in America. I've not spoken to anyone in the US since all these riots and stuff happened with Trump supporters. How was Vegas for that? I know you can't speak for the whole of the US, but you speak for Vegas.
You know, as far as I know, from what happened recently at the White House and stuff, I don't think anybody's been crazy out here yet, you know, so far. Yeah, who knows? You know, you never know. But so far, you know, when we had the other protests going on for the Black Lives Matter, you know, that was, you know, of course, you had some people that were trying to, you know, cause some problems. But for the most part, everything was peaceful. It was really crazy during the early days of the pandemic where they shut Vegas down, you know. And that was just weird. I mean, you know, to see like the street empty, you know, Las Vegas Boulevard, just completely empty, no cars, no nothing, no lights. It was almost, you know, it's pretty surreal, you know?
Yeah.
Because everybody comes to Vegas, you know, for, you know, to party and vacation and get married and all that kind of stuff. And to have like nobody out here, it was pretty crazy.
And are tourists allowed back there now?
Yeah, as far as I know, they're still coming. You know, of course, not as much, but I personally thought that when things first started opening and they started opening up the casinos again, that, you know, we were going to be ground zero, you know, because, you know, you had people from all other places bringing in their disease to Vegas and spreading it. And luckily it hadn't happened that way, but who knows? Eventually, you know, it could change. It's just kind of crazy that you had the vaccine, and it's just, you know, they should really be, you know, vaccinating everybody, you know.
Yeah, it takes time though, doesn't it? I was trying, you know,
yeah,
there's 66 million people here in the UK, so like, don't know how many's over there, but it's going to take a lot longer, innit?
Yeah, they're saying maybe more towards summertime before you really, you know, someone like me gets vaccinated.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm bottom of the list. So anyway, I'll get off that because it's quite
enough of that crazy stuff. Yeah.
So we mentioned earlier about your cover of Spirit in the Sky, and you've got a single On the Way to the Promised Land.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us how they came about? How did you end up doing the cover and writing the single?
The cover was every band has a cover out there, you know. So that was our cover, probably our one cover track that we're going to do. And when we were going into the studio, we were trying to think that we wanted to do something classic rock. And there really aren't too many classic rock tunes that have any kind of, you know, religious connotations involved. You know, it's kind of, you know, everything is, you know, the regular rock and roll stuff. And so we thought Spirit in the Sky. You said, well, let's try to do a rockin' version of this one. And it's a song that everybody knows. It's been in a lot of feature films as well. So even the younger kids that really didn't get a chance to, you know, to know the song when it was like played and or on classic rock stations, some of the movies that they might have seen, you know, they may know it through that. So we thought we'd do a rockin' version of that, and that was pretty cool. Our friend Megan Ruger, who was on, I believe it was season 6 of The Voice, is actually singing the female background parts on that track as well. Yeah, a little fun fact. And On the Way to the Promised Land was, it's based on the book of Exodus. So if you're not familiar with that particular book, and you may not be familiar with this reference either, but like if you've seen the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston back from, it's an old movie, I guess. But that's what that movie's about. It takes you through the book of Exodus. We actually just shot a video almost 2 weeks ago for On the Way to the Promised Land, and that should be hopefully done, being edited in the next couple of days or so. And there's a scene where in the beginning where I'm on the couch watching that movie, and Charlton Heston is parting the seas, and I fall asleep, and then we're in the desert and we're rocking out, you know, to On the Way to the Promised Land. So it should be a pretty cool video. But I was just kind of messing around with my guitar, and it just hit me, you know, just write the song about, you know, about Exodus and the Promised Land, and the lyrics just kind of seemed to flow. I really like the lyrics. I'm proud of them because it kind of takes you in a semi-chronological order of actually what happens throughout the story as well.
Do you find it quite well, I wouldn't say easy, nothing's easy in the music industry, but do you find it quite easy to write songs? Do they just come naturally, or do you go like months and months with nothing?
No, not really. What I normally do is, you know, while I'm playing, practicing or whatever, just kind of messing around with the guitar. Here, my doggies in the background there. I got 3 dogs in there. They play all the time.
They go like big dogs.
Yeah, they're big doggies. So basically, I just kind of mess around, and then I just all of a sudden just some riff pops in my head, and I just play it, and I go, "Oh, that's really cool." And I kind of need to be in the songwriting mood or mode to finish the song. So a lot of times I'll pull out my my cell phone, and I will just record the riff for another time later on when I'm in that songwriting mode, because there's no way you'll remember the riff later on. So, excuse me, on my phone, I've got like, there's probably like 20, 30 songs to be written, you know, on my phone. So, and then the lyrics, you know, I think they used to come a little bit easier, but some of being that we're a Christian band, you know, sometimes I like to throw in some scripture and stuff in there as well. So, you know, try to figure out which scripture to put in and where to put it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, cool. And we did speak about this before I started the interview, but you're currently #1 on Spiderweb Radio. Number one.
Yeah. So we're getting airplay all over the world. A lot of stuff in your neck of the woods as well. And there's this really cool station called Spiderweb Radio, and it's broadcast out of Detroit. And they have the top 25 that they do every Friday. And we, On the Way to the Promised Land, is #1 for the 3rd week in a row. And Spirit in the Sky is actually just moved up to number 11 on that list as well. And in between, you know, those numbers, it's pretty cool because you got like the new one from Alice Cooper, and you got the new one from Shinedown, and Greta Van Fleet's new one is in there. And, you know, so there's some really cool bands in there as well. You know, it's not just all indie bands. It's a big mix. So it's pretty cool.
Found it.
Yeah, we're proud.
Obviously, COVID depending. Is there any plans for any live performances?
At the moment, we're kind of really not talking about it very much because it's going to be a little while still, you know. I mean, even some of the people that I'm speaking to that normally hire me to do like special events and stuff like that, they're thinking it's not really going to be, anything's really going to start happening until September or October, you know, somewhere around there before the end of the year. So if all goes well, you know, we're hoping to get out there and play as soon as possible. Again, it's probably not going to be until like the summertime-ish or later on. And we have a lot of places, like I said, that like us on the other side of the ocean there. And we also got a really cool compilation coming out in Brazil in the next month or two as well. And that's going to be promoted pretty heavily to like all the stations and magazines and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully we'll get to visit there as well.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
I think a lot of places are a bit wary of booking anything or organizing anything because they don't know what's going on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it's like over here. They've just cancelled pretty much everything.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, you know, let's see if we're still in existence at the end of the year.
We will be. I have faith.
Yeah, me too, hopefully.
So is there anything else we can look forward to from you guys?
I mentioned that we filmed the video almost a couple of weeks ago, so that hopefully should be released hopefully in the next week or so. We have some more tracks that we want to put out there as well that are ready to go. We're hoping that in this year that we're going to be able to get a really good record deal and be able to go back in the studio and finish the album as well. We've got a ton of stuff ready to go besides the stuff on my phone that hasn't been written yet, but we've got a ton of stuff that we already have ready to go. And you know, I'm thinking that if people are liking what they hear so far, that they shouldn't be disappointed with our other stuff as well.
Amazing. And where's the best place for people to keep a lookout for all that stuff? You're on all the social media sites?
Or on all the social media sites. The website is just the name of the band, so the Word66. Like I mentioned, it's being that a lot of those were already taken. The usernames were already taken. So, but if you just go to the WORD66.com, that's our website. And of course, we're on your Facebook and your Instagram and your Twitter and your YouTube. And the music's also available on Spotify and Amazon and iTunes and Deezer and all those kind of places.
I will put all the links underneath the video when it gets uploaded so people can just click on from there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. And before we say our goodbyes, is there anything you would like to add? Anything I've missed?
I'm sorry, what was the question? No, not really. You know, again, we're a Christian rock band, and you know, we rock to a higher power. And but again, hopefully people will have an open mind, and anyone who's watching this will have an open mind as well, and be interested in checking out that scene, and it can open them up to a lot of really cool music. And you know, we always also like to mention to people too that, you know, when we're out there and we're on tour and stuff like that, it's funny because a lot of the stations and stuff that are playing us are non-Christian radio stations, really. I'd say the majority of it is non-Christian. So I always tell people, you know, if you see us, you don't have to run the other way. You know, we're not not Jehovah Witnesses, and we're not gonna grab you and hold you down and tell you that you're damned, you're gonna be damned if you don't, you know, whatever. It's like, I believe that preaching, there's a time and a place for it, you know, and you have to be open to it as well. So, you know, we don't really force any religion on anybody. That's something I think you need to find on your own.
Yeah.
You know, so if you see us, like I said, we're not going to be preaching and all that kind of stuff unless you want us to. We're normal people.
Yeah, you can have a normal conversation.
Yeah, sort of, kind of, yeah. we try.
Amazing. So I'd like to say a massive thank you for taking the time to talk to us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. It's been great on my end as well. And I really appreciate your time, and stay safe out there as well.
You too. Stay safe. Thank you very much.